Hi, I'm Neelima. I coach professionals to increase their capacity and effectiveness, be visible, valued, and rewarded, and be the leaders they want to be. In this 8th episode of the series, Leading with Purpose, my guest is Kriti Makhija, who became a CFO at the age of 26. In her own words, she is a happy, optimistic, and grounded leader. Listen in and find out how these traits help her deal with the toughest challenges. In today's episode of Leading with Purpose, I have the pleasure of welcoming Kriti Makhija. Kriti is the Chief Finance and Compliance Officer for Burson Group India. She believes in the power of giving and volunteers her time for the causes that she believes in. She's on the advisory board of NASCOM Community, a member of Leprosy Detection and Control Committee of Rotary Club Delhi South, and a mentor to Shakti, the Empathy Project, an incubation program for women entrepreneurs to find solutions to social problems in India. She also enjoys singing, cooking, and traveling with her husband. Welcome, Kriti. So nice to have you.
Thank you, Neelima. Thank you, Neelima. The pleasure is likewise.
So shall we get started?
Yes.
Right, Kriti, I have known you for some time, and you're such a versatile personality. And if you had to speak about yourself in 5 sentences, what would you say?
I think I'm an optimist, extrovert person, very grounded with my values. My values are my North Star, and I think very committed to whatever that I'm doing. I give it my 100%. In fact, that's been one of the things that most people tell about me. My effectiveness is almost 98 to 99%. And I think that's what makes me me. And I'm overall a very happy person. I try to be sad on occasions, but that's not me. I'm happy, extrovert, and I love life.
I noticed that you said, I try to be sad.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. There are moments where you're expected to be sad, and then I tried to, but then I said, that's not me. It's not me. I have to be me, and I'm a happy person. I'm blessed to that extent.
Awesome. Great. So you were talking about this organizational change which has happened, and change is all around us right now. The pace has never been the same. How do you deal with this fast-paced changing world?
See, once you come to terms with the fact, Neelima, that change is the only constant and change is for good, everything will fall into place. When you resist change, when you think that change is going to bring uncomfort, it's going to displace you from your comfortable position, from what you know, that's when it becomes uncomfortable. I welcome change with open arms, because you know what it makes me do is it helps me re-energize myself, to orient myself in my personal and professional capacity, and it makes me push my boundaries and learn. And I'm a learner for life. I just love change, meeting new people, learning from them, embracing difficult situations, finding solutions. I think it's your entire orientation towards change that will make the difference. The more you resist, it will persist. The more you welcome it, you'll find solutions and you will move ahead. So I think that's my mantra of dealing with change. And in today's day and age, irrespective of whether you're a leader, manager, or even the lowest common denominator in an organization, you have to be willing to change with the change. So yeah, that's what's helped me all through my professional life.
It's interesting. You right from the beginning said that change is for good. And, as I coach people, that is the biggest struggle. Not everybody, or it's not always possible for people to believe that it is for good. And what would be your advice to people who are, struggling in that moment to believe that there is good for me, or I can find good for me in this for myself?
So, I would just encourage these people everybody who thinks that change is not for good, to take a pause for 1 minute and reflect back on the times where change was confronting them in the face. Okay. And see today, from today's perspective, reflect back and see what was the good that it brought. You may have struggled in that particular situation. You may have resisted it. But in a hindsight, when you look at that situation from today's lens, you will see that despite the uncomfort, resistance you grew, it brought about changes within you to become a better you. Even so, I'll give you a personal experience. At the time, pre my present organization, I've been here for 22 years. I had passed out from PwC. I got married. I got into my first new job per se. And 9 months later, on my birthday, I had a town hall where the CEO called us all in, and I was just an assistant manager of finance at that time, and said he's folding the company. I can't tell you how crestfallen I was. I said, oh my God, my life had just started and it's crumpled. So like I mentioned, I was expected to be sad in that situation, despite the fact that it was my birthday. I tried to be sad, but then I had no time because as part of the finance team, you were doing all the settlements, closing off the company. And soon, what happened? My bosses, which was the manager, senior manager, and the CFO all quit. I was the lone standing person there working directly with the CEO. For me, that was the end of the road, and oh God, I have to start finding a new job. You won't believe it, Neelima. I had a post-it on my desktop at that time saying, go and meet Prema Sagar at Genesis PR. And I didn't know what it was for. And I went there, I met Prema. I didn't even know I was being interviewed, and I was hired as a CFO.
Wow.
Now think about that change. From that 9th October 2001, that announcement and that change that this company, Maxity, is closing, was catastrophic for me. If I see today, I became a CFO at the age of 26.
Wow.
I had no clue of what the job entailed. I learned on the job. I had fabulous mentors. Didn't that change bring me good? Look at COVID. It completely disrupted the world. I was one of those people who firmly believed that I have to physically see a person to do work and business with them. World has changed to remote working. World has changed to online purchase. The same people who loved shopping in the malls are all e-commerce customers today. See, change has brought in so much of efficiency. Was it disruptive? Did it take away lives? Did we lose our loved ones? Well, it was a healthcare situation. So yes, of course we did. And sometimes in organizational change, you will lose your loved colleagues because they don't like the change that is happening. They find better opportunities. All of that will happen. But you should be strong as an oak tree, but also be nimble like a young plant to bend and go with the flow. Learn, embrace it. That's what I would recommend to anybody who's struggling with change.
That was a beautiful story. What a story. Thank you for sharing that. So as you go through, this change, what are you finding as the biggest leadership challenge right now?
I think generationally, we are Gen X, and you're dealing with millennials who are used to multiple screens. They come from a privileged backgrounds. Some, even if they are coming from a not so privileged backgrounds, have very clear ideas and mindsets. Their driving forces are not the same as ours. I think trying to find what motivates the millennials, what builds loyalty in them. They are exceptional as a pool of talent. They're very bright. They're very smart. But how do you motivate them to become your loyalists, either as customers or as employees? I think is the biggest challenge that I see as leadership. So somewhere I think I agree with a few leaders who have also created millennial boards in their organization to help them counsel and advise the Gen X boards of how do millennials think.
Mm.
I think another challenge that leaders from my generation are facing is letting go of authority, letting go of the rules and processes. I understand that there is an overall compliance and governance structures, but let people be.
Mm.
I think millennials thrive in chaos. So, how do you create an organization which is the right balance of compliance and chaos is the leadership challenge that I'm facing today. And I've taken this challenge upon myself. And I love, as I told you, I love working with the young minds. I love working with them, listening to them, helping find the right solutions. I think as leadership, if we are able to channelize this powerhouse of talent that we have with the millennials in the growing external chaos and complexity created by geopolitical situations, industry situations, fragmented industry, I think we'll be good. Let's strengthen our internal fort to deal with the external challenges, is the way I look at it. Thanks.
Right. It's really the time to even do that reverse learning, as you said, bring in those boards, and let us hear. And from a percentage perspective, this millennial, I mean, this generation is going to go on increasing in the workforce. So it's time for us to better learn how to work with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The generation which we come from, Neelima, we came from the middle class bringing. I come from a forces background where my dad taught me live and die for the organization that you work for. For us, working long hours, weekends, on holidays, we never felt the pinch. This generation asks for work-life balance, and I don't think so. It's anything wrong. We haven't done it does not mean it's a wrong question to ask.
Right.
I think we as leaders need to embrace that the new generation is asking us to change, to have a very different mindset. And I work in a consulting organization. My assets are my people. I will be as good as the workforce and as motivated the workforce is. So I think I have to be very mindful of what my internal customers are asking, saying, and how are they motivated, and how do I build that loyalty? The brand that I work for, it shines and outshines in the industry because the average tenure of the leadership team in this group is 2 decades. We have pretty much grown together and built this organization together. And if you look at what Prema did with all of us, I was 25 when I became a CFO. My chief marketing officer must be about 27. She did exactly what I'm asking that leaders think of today. Bring in new people in your board. Even if they are advisors, even if you give them special projects, you need to have a voice. There has to be a diversity, not just in your workforce and the organization, but also in your governing committees and boards now to bring in point of relevance.
And this particular change, I believe, is a good one. Right?
Yes,
we have
absolutely.
lived far too long with, just work being our life, but that shouldn't be, from saying it in books to actually implementing it. I'm so glad these people are asking for it.
That's right. Absolutely. And, I read this very beautiful book by Jaggi Vasudeva from Isha Foundation. There was a question. Somebody asked him, he said, how do you have work-life balance? He said, sorry, is work part of your life, isn't it? Are these two distinct things? It's in continuum. Work is part of life. The day we make it our life is the day we feel that they are two different things. So I think it's a very beautiful thought. And if we live and embrace that in everything that we do, I think we'll be more open to welcoming the views of the millennials in our work.
Right. So, Kriti, I think this is a good segue for me to ask you, when all of this disruption is happening and all of these, this change is happening, there are bound to be setbacks. And how do you deal with setbacks?
See, the good news and bad news for me, Neelima, is that I've never been a manager. I've never even been in the front line in the workforce. I've always been a leader. So whether I liked it or I didn't like it, I always have to think as a leader. Have in my last two decades plus of being a leader in an organization, have we never faced setbacks? No, it's moot to say we haven't. I think whenever you face setbacks, the important things, if it's a personal setback, please reflect upon it. Isolate yourself from the situation and look at the situation, pick up the learnings and run with it. If it's an organizational setback, don't try to look at finding faults and blames. I think it's very, very important to focus on the situation and not the people. And don't ask why me. Then you will find a positive way of moving forward. I think when we get into the victim, poor me syndrome, why me, I did my best, why is this happening to me, you will never find solutions. There have been years where maybe I've been the top rated performer in the organization, but still not got any appraisals or increments or bonuses because as an organization we haven't done well. At that point in time, being part of the leadership team, I cannot ask why me. We are one team. We rise together, we fall together. But there are also times, Neelima, when maybe I'm not the top performer. There's somebody else who's the top performer. But as an organization, we've done very well, and I've been more than rewarded. I think you have to have a long-term view towards things and get out of this victim mode. I can also tell you about my own personal situation. My biggest guide, my champion, my mentor, my dad, I lost him. And I used to keep looking at every old person on the street and saying, my dad was absolutely fine. Why did we lose him? Why not this uncle? You know, he's struggling, he's on a wheelchair without forgetting that he's somebody's dad. You know, today, with a changed perspective, when I've started celebrating my 43 years with my dad and not crying over the time that I didn't have with him, I look at the same person struggling on a wheelchair and I look up and I tell God Almighty, thank God I didn't have to see my dad struggle. He was too proud a man to be on hospital beds. And God bless everyone for whatever time that they have on this earth or they have with their parents. So I think it's just a changed perspective. It is done. I have lost my father. But it's just a different way of looking at it. It's a setback, yes, but it's a different way. And I think as leaders, it's important to have that growth mindset, always. Solution-oriented growth mindset, and a leader always have to lead from the front during battle, and otherwise be like a shepherd at the back, cheering for its flock, guiding its flock to let them know he or she has their back, and always the last one to be applauded and the last one to be rewarded, and not try and find faults and blames and be in the victim mindset. Leaders today do not have that option to pause and say, I'm the victim, please help me. You have to shake yourself out.
Yeah, and there's so many people looking at you.
Yes, yes. Even so, I learned it from Prema. She's been my mentor in life. She doesn't know that. She always thinks I have had different mentors, but having worked with her for 22 years, I've learned from her, not in a classroom kind of a training or a formal mentor-mentee, but just seeing the way she was as a leader. For the most dreaded meeting, she would wear the finest of clothes and wear the brightest of lipstick and with a very bright smile on her face, lead us into that room. So I think your personality, the way you, even if you're not feeling very confident inside, you have to have a very confident exterior. And trust me, you take it and you will make it. I've seen that in my own personal life also.
Oh,
but
this
as a leader,
neuroscience
you
proves
always
that.
need to have. Yes. And you don't have to be infallible. Your team needs to know that you are human, you will make mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes. And it's okay to own up to having made a mistake, but learn from it and move forward.
So I love that. I love the way she gets into those meetings. I think
Yes.
there's something to practically take that advice from.
Yeah.
All right. So, Kriti, I coach mid-career professionals, and this is a question I ask everyone. Um, we keep telling them, take charge of your career, own your career. And what, from your perspective, are some of the actions that amount to taking charge?
Number one, telling yourself your career is important to you. And first, first spend time with yourself to know, is career really important to you? Because half of the time people don't even know what is important for them, right? So that's number one. If career is important for you, then give it the importance that it needs to have. It cannot take a sidestep based on your convenience, right? Once you decide on that, you are not a sole person. You have to co-opt your ecosystem to believe in your dreams, whether it's your work people, whether it's your home front. For me, the people at home are my biggest champions. As I mentioned, I became a leader. I was a CFO for an organization when I was all of 26. I had a 2-year-old son, a joint family, a lot of responsibilities. At the time when moms are struggling, how do I take care of my baby and work? At that point of time, I got into a job which demanded a lot from me because I didn't even know the job, to be very honest. I had no clue what does the CFO do. So there was a lot of work required from my end and my own self. I co-opted my family, my in-laws, my extended family, my parents, my husband, that how important this job was for me. That I loved being a working professional. I loved being a mother. I loved being a wife. I loved being a daughter-in-law. But being a professional was equally important for me. My ecosystem supported me in Neelima. They supported me with everything that they have to give me the time to focus on my career. My son is 24 today. And like they say, it takes a village to raise a child. It did take a village to raise a child. It takes also a village to support you in your journey. So I have 2 villages, one my work family and one my home family. Same goes with my colleagues in the organization. They know me as people. There are people, there's this culture which says, you have to be very professional at work, cut and dry. You have to know the people that you work with. I know everybody's children, what are their motivation, which classes they study in. They know everything about me. They have to know the situation I'm dealing with at home. Somebody needs to know that I live with aging in-laws, my mother lives with me, I could have a medical emergency. And I can assure you, Neelima, everybody supports me. I just have to do a call and say, I'm not coming into work today, need to take somebody to the hospital. It happens. So you have to co-opt your ecosystem. You have to tell the universe what matters to you, and the universe will find a way to make it reality. So it is not about keeping things close to your chest. It's my dream and I'll hold it close to my chest. People should know that what you are doing matters to you and what is the help that they can give you in that journey. And you equally stand tall with your colleagues to make their dreams a reality, support them, and equally hold forth for folks at home to be available for them. You have to find the right balance, but don't make your dreams come second. They move parallelly with all goals that you have in your life. Give it importance. It will work.
I love it that you said co-opt, your ecosystem. And I think many women might say, hey, she had a supportive, family, and not many have it. Of course, there is the background, but what else do you think works in, you know, doing that co-opting?
Talking, speaking, and speaking with your actions and your words. When my family sees me working past midnight, trying to doing calls, working on documents, I can assure you they can feel my pain. They They think that it's very difficult. They don't realize that I enjoy doing it. They know I thrive on my work, right? It gives me a sense of purpose. Can being a mother give somebody a sense of purpose? Yes, it can. That's why I'm saying know what is important for you. Don't just say things because they are politically correct. Does being a mother give me purpose? Yes. If that was the only purpose for me, would I be happier? Honestly, from my own self? No.
Mm.
So I know what Kriti is made of. And I have found that right balance. Not everybody is going to be Kriti. So find what motivates you. There are many people at my age after 2 decades of work saying, I want to hang up my boots. Politically, it sounds very nice. And even, in social conversations, I also want to say that I want to hang up my boots. At one point of time, I did start saying that when I turned 40, I'm going to wear nice chiffon saris and go work in an NGO. And I want to hang up my professional boots. God, when I was 39, it started giving me heebie-jeebies, Neelima, that, oh God, will I have to, follow through on what I was saying? So I started doing a lot of volunteer work. And let me assure you, contrary to what I thought voluntary work means I can choose when I want to work. No, it doesn't mean that. It's an equal amount of commitment and a lot of hard work. Lot of hard work. So at that juncture, I realized that working makes Kriti Kriti. And that's very much part of my being. So I stopped saying that dialogue, and now I'm going to turn 50. I've stopped saying anything about retiring or hanging my boots. So I think each one needs to find their purpose. They need to find what fulfills them and then do full justice. There will be situations that you will face where you'll be pulled in various directions, but find your North Star. Find that guiding light. And you need to have a mentor in life who can, perhaps put you back on track when you're going off track. That could be your friend, your husband, an external mentor, your mother, your father, whoever. Somebody you can talk to transparently.
Yeah. There's something very deep in what you, I think, implied and did not really say it. When we say purpose, some people think, purpose means one has to be a Mother Teresa, or one has to be, something really, really, biggest person in the world. But that is not it. At a point of time in life, a purpose is what matters to you the most at that point of time. You choose it and you give it your best.
So true. You put it aptly. The word purpose, the way it has been spoken in books and defined, it has become larger than life. It is not larger than life. You may not find my purpose meaningful, but I don't owe an explanation to you. My purpose is my purpose.
Right.
You may or may not find it meaningful, but as long as it fulfills me and it's meaningful for me and it helps me lead a good, happy life, it's my purpose.
And there are always breadcrumbs that tell you what feeds you the most, right? What nurtures you the most, and you just follow that, and you're good.
So true. And and it's okay for your purpose to even evolve.
Of course, it does.
I had when I was a kid is very different from what I have today. Just like the world is changing and you are changing with it, your purpose will also evolve and change. And it's okay. It really is okay. And when sometimes purpose also forms an evolution depending on your own life cycle and your own growth path. And sometimes situation gives you a purpose also. God forbid if somebody has a medical emergency with a family member, your short-term purpose may be very different from your long-term one. So it's important to not get challenged by situations thrown from external environment which do not concur with your larger purpose. It is okay. Your larger purpose will remain. These are short-term goals or short-term attention that you need to divert to, which is fine. Don't let it derail from what you are.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And the moment you call it purpose, the whole energy changes, right?
Yes.
Rather than, oh, this happened to me and you're in a different space. But yes, taking care of family is my purpose and that would always remain. It is not actually ever going to change. So just owning it,
Yes.
Shifts the energy right there.
You're so true. You're so right. So I think it's just about, I think everything is here. The moment you make that shift from negative to positive, from a victim mindset to a growth mindset, everything gets sorted. You'll find solutions.
Thank you so much, Kriti. This was wonderful. I think it was just all coming from the heart, and I've totally loved this conversation.
Likewise, Neelima, it's straight from the heart, and thank you for thinking about me and bringing me on the conversation with you.
Thank you so much. So this was Kriti for you. There was so much that was coming straight from the heart, and I hope that you got some great messages that resonated with you. Do let us know what else we can help you figure out and share your feedback. Thank you very much for listening in. And thank you, Kriti, once again.
Thank you, Neelima.